Hey, I'm Matt, and this
And I'm
is
Kai.
that is Kai, and we will in this
That's true.
yep, and today we will be talking about two movies. One recently came out called Weapons, been getting a lot of hype, been getting a lot of media attention, a lot, and then we're also going to be talking about Scott Pilgrim versus the World, directed by Edgar Wright. So yeah,
Yay.
I guess we'll start with the most recent one, Weapons. Um, You go first, because I have to get my thoughts together on this one.
Okay, fun. Okay, so I will say I'm gonna mention this for both of these movies. These trailers are lying. And I think this is what trailers usually do. I think trailers are usually a massive, major, huge disservice to movies, like most of the time. But these two movies specifically, which I saw the trailer for both of them before I saw them, are actually lying. They're fibbing to you. I don't think they give the vibe at all. This one, the trailer is like, ooh, it's a suspenseful horror thing. And I think it is that at points. I saw this movie largely as a comedy. There were like freaky, disturbing, interesting kind of things there, but I didn't find it that scary per se. If that was what it was like really hard going for, then that might have been more an issue. But I thought it was funny. I thought it was a comedy. I thought it was goofy, and I was engaged for that reason. I actually think it was also interesting on a character level and on a thematic level, but I definitely did not see it as a pure horror thing. And the trailer was lying in its direction really hard there. It was not accurate to what the mood of the film was like. But with that being said, I did like what the movie actually was a fair bit. I thought it was fun. It was a good time. What are you thinking?
I agree with you on most of that. So when I watched the trailer, I thought it was maybe one of the best trailers I've ever watched. It had such a unique, cool concept. It gave you just the right amount of setup, and it was told in a very like it kind of like reminded me of like a bedtime story that I was being like a scary bedtime story that I was being told, except very enhanced. And once again, the moment I watched that trailer and I just like saw what the story was, how like these 17 kids just got up all out of bed, they ran into the dark at the exact same time, and they never came back, and they're all from the same exact classroom, and they all the parents blame the teachers, and they just run all out into the dark. And the way it was told, and also the thing that intrigued me the most was the title, Weapons. What was the meaning of this title? So going into this, I was expecting a lot. I was expecting like a great horror movie, like something really cool, unique. And it was directed by the guy who made Barbarian, which in itself is also not completely a horror movie, but was very good in its own sense. Um, I had complete and total what I would describe tonal whiplash. Like, my brain was not prepared for how much of a comedy this movie would be. Like, my brain was fully prepared for a horror movie, and because of that, like, my brain was genuinely throughout the movie, like, trying like, having difficulty adjusting to the complete tonal whiplash. Um, you're right. I would say you're right. It is mostly a comedy. It has good horror elements to it. Like there are scenes that are what I would describe as creepy, like, and there are scenes that are directed in a horror way that are in a kind of horror-esque style that are done very well. But I feel like even those are meant to serve a comedic purpose. And oh my god, I like the tonal whiplash is still with me because like it's it completely rocked my brain. I did not expect how funny this movie would be. I would say that. It was really funny, but also yeah, I would disagree with you on the aspect of the characters and themes because I have thought about it for a while, and I do not like what the movie I don't love what the movie ultimately leads up to. So we can get into that later, but yeah, this
Mm,
movie was tonal
okay.
whiplash for me. I'm still debating whether it was in a good way or a bad way, but your thoughts? Or
I mean, I'd say that thinking back on it and thinking of like what stuck in my mind more or what took up more time, I feel like there was a lot of character work in this movie. Some of it kind of interjected with like the story and comedy in a way where, or horror stuff in a way where it kind of flew under the radar. And some of it near the start, I think, was definitely the focal point. But I think the characters were fun. I think there was, I mean, um, at the I'll get into the wider framing device of it later when we get into spoilers, but the movie switches between the characters it's kind of focusing on a bit throughout. And I thought it was a really good variety that kind of helped to explore what it was saying and the angle it was taking a lot better, where they had very different personalities. They were coming from very different kind of places and lifestyles and backgrounds, and they tackled situations very, very differently. And I thought it kind of gave the movie a lot of texture, where even if like something was kind of normal or something was kind of get a little boring, then it would switch it up pretty often. And I think that just thinking it, the fact that it gives you the different kind of perspective characters to think about and focus on and kind of unravel helped the pacing a lot, where it just switching around and getting to think about those different things. I don't know if all of I don't know if each kind of segment of the movie was equally interesting. I'm not sure about that, but it was definitely helped that it kind of gave you something different very frequently. It helped kind of stay engaged, where these kind of different characters all kind of getting a similar level of spotlight. Thought that was a very fun aspect of the movie.
No, I actually very much agree with that. I thought that the pacing and the way they framed the movie as a whole was actually very, very well done. Like how they changed perspectives one by one, and how those perspectives um I wouldn't say in like other stories, like it's maybe around a certain scene or like a certain like store like a certain at like a certain time and place, and then it cuts between perspectives and it goes back to the very, very beginning from different perspectives. And it does that. I would say it does that with some of the characters, but I feel like each of the characters are have their own very, very distinct story that kind of leads them to ultimately a similar place. I do very much like the way they did it. I found all the characters at the very, very least very intriguing, and all of them had very good character setup. Um, and they were all very, very different in their own ways, and that's something that I liked. And once again, it kind of helped you keep guessing. Like when this character ended, you're just like, oh, well, I want to kind of know more. But then it cuts to another character and it adds another perspective to it, and it keeps doing that until everything is comes to the end. And I'll get to the end later. I don't really love where it ended, but um, I thought the first two-thirds of the movie were very, very well done, particularly the second third. I thought the middle portion of the movie was where I was getting really, really invested, and I really want to see what happened. And yeah, so I'd say from that aspect of the movie, it was very good. It was also very, very well directed, just the way the camera moved and the way it followed the
Oh, for
certain
sure.
characters. Yeah, it was very, very unique. I already knew this guy. I think I forgot his name, but watching a Barbarian a couple of years ago, I already knew that guy was a very, very talented
Zach
director. And
Kreger.
Zach Kreger, yeah,
Yeah.
he like in that movie, it was a lot of fun watching his camera work and the way you kind of kept guessing. And there's one scene in particular that I do love that is one of the creepier scenes, and it was very, very well directed. I'll go on, I guess we'll go on spoilers later, but yeah, the editing was a lot of fun. I will say once again, it was on a technical level, on a technical aspect, all these the movie was very, very, very good. Um, but once again, where it ultimately leads to just like the plot holes it opens up when it like reveals what it ultimately is, like are still like my brain cannot get off of them and like cannot like forgive them in a couple ways. I will say I do like the very, very ends of this movie. Like, if Kai remembers when we were at the movie, when it ended, I
Oh
was
yeah.
very, very upset and very shocked. But the more I reflected, I liked the very, very end of the movie. But
Cool.
yeah, um, we want to get into spoilers now, or you have anything else to say?
I have a
Because
little more to say.
yeah,
I will say something that I like this whenever it's the case. Zach Kreger did a lot for this movie. It was written, directed, and co-composed by him. So he was very involved with the entire creative process, and you can absolutely like feel it for the
yeah,
entire movie for me, where I think that I think it was very intentional with kind of how the camera followed characters and how characters were written in relation to each other. And how I think in general all of it was very focused in that sense. I think it had a very kind of clear, intentional vision, and I think I'd also say, thinking back on it, this movie had some very unique and interesting creative choices at some points where I'm still thinking back on some of the purpose behind things, but there were just a lot of moments and choices where looking back on it, I'm like, what? That was weird. That was fun. That was what, huh? And I think that's kind of one of my favorite reactions to have to something is where that's different. I like it. And I'm gonna think about it. Is kind of the perfect emotion for me, like to to have instilled in me by a movie. And we'll get into specifics. There are some strange things here that I'm still thinking on of what was going on and why, but it was cool. I like it, like in the moment. And there's a lot. Yeah, we can get into spoilers. This movie's fun. There's a lot of fun things going on. Not
Yeah.
sure how it's scary. Yeah, creepy more than scary, but don't know
Yeah.
how.
The jump scares were fun.
Yeah, okay.
The
I don't
jump scares were
know.
well no, they were well set up and like in an actually kind of creepy way that actually worked. And the ultimate payoff when you kind of learn the ultimate payoff was creepy in the moment, but then immediately kind of funny because you realize what the actual thing is. And yeah, trying to think if I have anything else to say about it before spoilers, but um, yeah, once again the comedic aspect, like this movie, I would be more angry at this movie if it wasn't funny, but it is actually pretty funny, and it's comedy, and like you to a point where you kind of have no choice but to laugh because you're put into this horror like horror-esque atmosphere or like like horror-esque setup, and then just this weird random shit happens, and it's really really funny. I'd say like one of the funniest aspects of this movie was I'd even say like mostly the responsibility of the actor. Like there's just a certain character that I found absolutely hilarious and just the way he acted and like
I'd
the
say,
certain
yeah, the
reaction.
acting was definitely like a major contributor
Yeah.
to the funny factor here.
I will I
100%. Some of the performances were really goofy and fun for
I
sure.
know. I will say the interesting thing is you said he both wrote and directed it. The marketing for this they would usually mention that in the marketing, but the marketing for this movie was mainly just the director of Barbarian. So I'm surprised that they I'm surprised. Oh, maybe he didn't fully write that one actually, but like the fact that he co-wrote this or like wrote this entirely is pretty interesting. So that's cool. Um, so I think yeah, I'm ready for spoilers. You?
Yeah, we like it. We both probably recommend it.
I
It was
mean,
fun. It was a good time.
I think I
Ooh.
recommend it, but because
You think? Okay.
I love the trailer so much. Total Whiplash is crazy, and
Huh?
okay, okay. I think I no. My biggest problem is okay. Before I get to my biggest problem, I'll say something. I'll say like one of the
Are
defining
we in spoilers
scenes.
though?
Yeah, we're in spoilers.
We're
Okay,
spoiler
with the
time. Okay,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
spoiler time. The scene that ultimately I think feel like defined the movie for me was at the very very beginning when it showed the like important scene the story starting scene of the children running out into the darkness and I forgot I don't know what song it's played specifically but it was a very very like fun comedic kind of funny song while this terrible thing while this creepy thing was happening with these children just running out into the dark and immediately then I was like oh is this the type of movie we're gonna get? Because I'm not sure if I'm ready. And like that kind of set the tone for me, and my brain was starting to rattle a little bit because like out of like once again tonal whiplash because I wasn't sure if I was ready for it, and the movie just kept adding and adding and adding on. Um, but yeah, once I'll say this another thing before I get to my biggest complaint. Once again, it's funny as hell. All the jump scares eventually leading up to this one weird orange-haired lady with like who looks scary from a distance, and if you don't really know who she is, which you eventually learn, then it is kind of creepy in its own sense. But like all of the payoffs are just so funny. Like one of the funniest moments is like when John Bernthal's character is like daydreaming and like dreaming and sees his son, and then all of a sudden sees that lady in his dream, and he wakes up and screams, literally, "What the fuck!" I Most
That
people in
was
the theater
fun.
burst out laughing, and including myself, because like what do you do and what do you have to say in this scene except like burst out laughing? Like it's just funny. And another character I think you'll very very much agree with me is the the druggie or whatever. Like I think his name's James or that might
Oh
be
yeah,
someone
yeah,
else. Yeah,
yeah.
he was
Yeah,
funny
James, the
as
character
hell.
name, huh?
Yeah, I think my one of the funniest scenes is when he takes like the headphones and like he puts it on the weighing scale and the guy looks at him like he's crazy. He's like, no, you're not getting any money for this. And he looks at like with the funniest reactions, like, this is good. What are you talking about? This is good. And just the way he acts, the way he said that
Performance was
line
fun,
was
yeah.
really, really funny for me. But yeah, my biggest problem with this is what it ultimately leads up to. So when I watched
Okay.
the trailer and I saw the in one single shot, you saw the ultimate antagonist of the movie, which is the old lady. I forgot her name, like auntie, whatever.
Gladys, the character,
Gladys,
yeah.
yeah, Gladys or whatever. The orange hair, the weird makeup, and the sunglasses, and you saw one single shot. And I was kind of intrigued by that shot. It was like fast editing trailer, but I was intrigued by that shot. I was like, okay, she's gonna play a big role. I don't know what she's gonna play, but it's gonna be a big role. Sorry. Um, and I was very, very intrigued, and I was kind of like throughout the movie as it kind of teased more and more of her, I was more interested. And then when it eventually showed who she was, at least the first scene, I was also interested. Like, oh, okay, she's probably responsible for a lot of this, but like, is there a deeper meaning to it? And as they reveal who she, as they go back and reveal how this all started, it kind of started to underwhelm me because I was just like, okay, this old, weird, creepy lady comes to these people's homes and they, number one, let her in somehow. I don't know. And she takes advantage of them and basically puts them under a spell and then forces the kid to do a lot of terrible things. And ultimately, she gets the kid to take some stuff from the other kids and to get their life force and whatever, and to keep her alive ultimately, and leave them in the basement. And that's it, just to keep her alive. And I was still very, very confused. I was like, okay, so that was the ultimate purpose, just to keep her alive. Cool. Because I thought it would have something to do with the title, Weapons. And they mentioned the title once, I think, where John Bernthal's character, I think John, wait, no, not John Bernthal's character,
Josh Brolin's.
Josh Brolin's character mentions that they all kind of moved in like a weapons fashion, like they're heat-seeking missiles, and they kind of like zero in on a target and like go. And actually, it can't. No, it is kind of actually the truth at the very, very end when they kill the witch or the aunt. That's actually true. But that was it. I was like, okay. And okay, the biggest problem I have is when all the kids disappeared, she was his guardian and they didn't interrogate her more. The police didn't interrogate her more. They didn't think of her at all as suspicious. Like her
Yeah, that was
actions,
goofy.
her movements. And I was just like thinking
I,
about because they made the whole investigation such a big deal. Like everybody in town is thinking about this. And yet this lady, this creepy lady who's been acting weird and creepy with the child around with the weird, like disabled father didn't even raise a little bit of suspicion. I'm sorry, that like completely like I was like, there's no way they didn't think of her as like a
think I would have
possible
minded
target.
that more if the movie was less comedic. Though I think for me, that's like partially. I mean, I think that's a.
Because
I
I was
see
in love
that.
with
I
the
think
setup
that.
so much.
Uh,
I love the setup so much, and that's how they ultimately ended it up with. I was like, no way.
I didn't really mind that in the moment. I think for me, just it being more goofy, and I think from a big part of it, 100% is that basically every character is failing in like every scene. I think the only reason why Gladys was even able to, or at least like what it felt like to me, the only reason Gladys was even able to have much of an influence is because of other characters aggressively fucking up the entire movie. And I think that's kind of an important element of it, where basically every character is like either is kind of severely insecure or like has some kind of ulterior motive in what they're doing, where if they were focusing more on just trying to solve the problem, then it probably would have been solved more like quicker. But that's not what happened, because basically everyone is doing something else in every scene. It's kind of being dismissive of people, or it has some kind of
Not
deeper
Josh Brolin's
emotional
character.
issue going on.
Not Josh Brolin's
Josh
character.
Brolin's 100% did, yeah.
What? No, he was focused on finding
Yeah.
the person, and he didn't at all. He's like completely committed, and like he probably would have known
Well,
like
no,
who the police
he was the
interrogator or
same
not,
deal
and
where
he
if
didn't
he
at all
were to,
find
no,
her
no, 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 no.
suspicious.
No, I'm saying more, for instance, if he were to like stop grilling, if he didn't kind of incite the entire, or like flare up the whole, because he was the one who lashed out at Justine at the very beginning of the movie, and if he didn't do that, then the tensions would have been lower there. Benedict Wong's character wouldn't have been, Marcus is the character's name, wouldn't have been like as dismissive of Justine, the tensions would have been lower between all of them, and they could have figured stuff out more if he didn't inflate that because of how pissed he was, which again was spurred on in large part by his own insecurities about how he was treating his own son, about the whole scene where he's like he couldn't even say I love you to him, blah blah blah, in the dream, that whole thing. No, I think the entire movie, a big part of it was that a lot of the conflict was driven by each character's problems. I think that was a
I
very major
agree.
part of it. So that made me mind that a bit less
I
when
agree, but
characters were
ultimately
not
the root of the
as
problem was
special.
not something. I thought it would be something at least a little bit more interesting. Not it was an evil witch who like kidnapped all the like who just I don't know kidnapped all the children
I
for
thought that
like
was
her life.
fun.
Or,
I
like
didn't mind that.
I thought I wanted something at least somewhat. I don't know what, but like something at least somewhat a little bit more different or kind of like unique. Like not just like it was like I remember as it slowly unraveled the mystery and showed it from the kid's perspective. I think Will was the kid, or
I'm trying. That's I don't remember.
yeah.
I don't.
I'll,
Let's try to figure this out.
oh my god. Okay, but like
Hold on.
as it
I'm
slowly
investigating,
showed
but keep going.
as it showed the kid's perspective and showed like who the lady was and what she wanted to do, I was just like, that's it? I was like, really? Okay, fine, because it's supposed to be like ultimately all the perspectives are leading up to that. And I was just like watching the scene and I was like, okay, well like I don't want a deep motivation, but at least want something kind of unique, not just like it was all like because you have all these cool, unique things happening. These literally kids running out into the street, like you have Benedict Wong's like what's Marcus?
Marcus.
Yeah,
Yeah. Also,
Marcus is
Alex was the kid's name.
Alex, yeah. So you have Marx's character literally running with his eyes bulging wide open into like to like
That
determined
was
to
fun.
kill or something. That was a lot of fun. And you have like you have this old lady like there, but like I was like, okay, what is her motive? What does she want? And like it gave me nothing to work with, and I was like, because like once again, I was so invested in the setup. I maybe that's my problem. I was so invested in the setup because the setup was so cool and unique, and I kind of wanted I wanted like a unique and interesting answer, and I'm completely on board with like all the different character studies of like how it's kind of how it's bringing out the worst in all these different characters and the worst in all the people. And because I think that's the situation, like most stories, like this happened in Prisoners. Most stories where missing children are involved always brings out the worst in people, and I always find that very very interesting. And but this, like the ultimate reveal of what it was just like that's it. That was like, and then it turned into this whole, and then I think would like beat my brain up even more. Just like confusion was like it had this. The climax was almost completely comedic to me, in my opinion. I think
Oh,
almost complete
absolutely. Yeah.
almost completely comedic. So not only was this a tonal whiplash for me, not only is this not a horror movie, not only is this like not a kind of cool and interesting reveal like that's maybe not saying something but like kind of a unique like and ultimately reveals something kind of interesting and unique because it's just something simple like a crazy lady who just kidnapped a couple children for God knows just to keep herself alive even more. They don't even go into
I can see
that.
that.
And ultimately, like the whole comedic where everybody's fighting each other. And I like the fact that the kid used the twig thing against the old lady and had her tear apart, had her be torn apart. But like that was the
That scene
ultimate
was
reveal.
awesome. I love
That
that
scene was all.
scene.
That scene
That
was
was so
awesome.
fun.
I was laughing my ass off, but like I was still out of confusion. I was like laughing, but I was like, still, this is what it was. This is what it was all the time. I was laughing. Don't get me wrong, but once again, the tonal whiplash in my brain just wasn't working. The only thing that kind of saved the movie for me was, in many ways, the ending, where it just how abrupt the ending was. It kind of saved it for me. But like, oh, like
That was
once
so
again,
good. That was cute. I like
yeah,
that.
well, I did
That's my
like that.
thoughts on a lot of it. It was fun. I don't
It
know. I had a good
was
time.
fun, but like I expected something a little bit like the twist was just the ultimate reveal of what everything was is just like that's it? Like that was my reaction. I was like, that
Again,
is really it?
so I'm split on that just because I think that I think that there's something fun thematically with the fact that the villain was a human.
I
Like she
I've been
wasn't
trying to figure
some
that out. I don't
demon,
care if
she
it's
wasn't
human
an
or not.
alien, she was a person just like everyone else. I think that's fun. At the same time, it might have been more compelling purely visually if she was like a plant creature or something crazy. Like that might have been more out there conceptually. I think the metaphor would have still been kind of intact there, depending on how they presented it. So I don't know. Um, but Yeah, I kind of see. I don't know. I think there is some. I do like that. Basically, everything about it is at the core of these people and about humans and about their behavior and what they do to each other. I think that keeping that intact with her just being a person is fun, but I do kind of see how it might. Because going into it, I think one of the more interesting things about it is that I had no idea if what kind of horror movie it was. I didn't know if it was an alien movie or a monster movie or a demon movie or just a normal human movie. I had no idea, and I think that intrigue was definitely a big strength of it. And so I guess I kind of see how that getting not being the focus, despite that being such a topic of interest, is can kind of be deflating. I think I just don't mind what they were actually going for there. And I think I still found it interesting, like metaphorically. So I don't know if how much that affects my view of it now, but I can kind of see that in terms of the experience watching it. Though then again, I think it's aided. The whole movie is aided by how fun it is, where it just visually, just fun things are happening. The performances are goofy, like it's the writing's like comedic. I think that definitely aids when it's being more normal conceptually. Is that it's visually and just like its personality of the movie is just being fun helps it a lot in that area. I will say one specific thing. I've had this shot on my mind since I saw the movie, and it's not left since. What the hell was going on with the whatchamacallit? With that shot in Josh Brolin's dream sequence where there was a giant floating gun with the timer on it?
Oh
What? That
yeah.
was so
Okay,
weird.
so
That was the weirdest shot in the movie. That was so fun. And while I
I
was watching, I was like, "What the? What are we doing?" But I'm
so
still
I've heard
interested.
a
That was so
couple
weird.
things. I've heard a couple things. Number one, I think the number one thing I've heard is like that's the little literal metaphor for weapons. And I
Meaning, like, what?
literally it's like the 217, like the kids wore literally a weapon for at 217. Like I don't know. That's a little the metaphor was literally weapons, and I was like, okay. And then another metaphor I've heard that's a bit out there and pretty dark. I'm not sure if we want to get too much into it, but like another metaphor for school shootings. So like
Oh, I see what you mean.
the feeling of like losing your child and like to something terrible and like or like just losing your child in general and that like dark feeling of like going to that place. That's something I heard, and if so, I think it's
Okay.
very out there. Oh, I
I
will
think
say
that's
that
tenuous.
the director I did talk to I did hear what the director said. The director doesn't
You talked with
have
the
any
director.
idea. The director doesn't have any idea what it means. He's just like, "Oh, I just randomly came up with it and put it out there, and I guess I'll have people have their own interpretation of it." Because he himself doesn't even know what it means. So
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
So we
I mean,
that
it's such a just a quirky,
it is
goofy,
an interesting
fun
shot.
shot. I like that. Probably got some of the maybe the biggest reaction of anything out of me in the movie was that insane shot. I think I might have liked if there was a little more of that in the sense that it would just I think my favorite things about it is that when it was being really quirky or strange and out there visually. And I think that when it was at its most boring was in the kind of horror action scenes when it was basically just people clobbering each other. Because I didn't think that like I mean the choreography wasn't exactly the strength of it. That's not what I expect out of a horror movie. So I guess in
Yeah.
that sense, it might have been better if that was integrated more into those kinds of scenes. Where again, that's also where I'm leaning toward I kind of see it when it might have been more interesting if she wasn't a person, where if they went somewhere stranger with that visually, that might have been more compelling. So I'm kind of, I wasn't feeling that when you first brought it up, and now I'm kind of seeing that vision a little more, where maybe that could have been like a more satisfying, interesting kind of capitalization on that kind of tension or intrigue,
Wait, I missed what
maybe
you said. Sorry. Wait, what'd you say? Sorry.
about how I think that it could have been more interesting if she wasn't if Gladys wasn't a like a normal not a normal but like a basically a normal person. I think it might have been more interesting if they went somewhere weirder or more out there with that just on a visual standpoint because I wish that in general it had more of the weird visuals that I thought were the biggest strength of it. I wish
Yeah,
they leaned into that even more.
I see what you mean. I don't know. I just the overall shots in this movie, the overall direction was really cool, and that's kind of what I thought of it. But oh, the coolest directed scene that I thought was actually what I'd say was the creepiest scene, which was remember that scene where um the teacher, what's her Justine is
Just
like
yeah,
watching what's the kid's name? Henry?
Alex.
Alex.
You
Alex,
forgot
yeah,
like 3 times.
no,
It's
I
gonna
said it
be
twice anyway.
funny. Okay, okay.
Where she was watching the house and then you see the door open, then you see the mom like walk out in a really, really
Oh, that
creepy
was a
way
great
with the
shot, yeah.
scissors, and then you just see them like you literally just see Justine's head from the back and she just snips some hair off. That was cool. That was a lot of fun. Um, yeah, but that was the scene that I was thinking about the most, like directing shot wise. Um,
No, yeah, for sure. I think they also built, and this is something I think the whole movie does well, where I think they build anticipation well with how things are shot and how much time they focus on things for. Where I think that part of the reason why that scene was effective is because they both kept the door open for like an uncomfortable amount of time, like ever so slightly, where you just peer into that kind of black abyss of the open doorway. And they have the lady kind of running out, or I guess walking out, also like they just focus on that without cutting away for just a freaky amount of time I think that they pace those scenes well to put you to kind of unnerve you a bit more. I think that the way they kind of frame those helps even something that hypothetically could be kind of a normal shot to be more kind of creepy and anxiety inducing. That was a great utilization of that.
yeah, definitely. Also, the Also, another funny like, the whole climax was just really, really funny, like, with the drug addict, like, literally running into Josh Brolin's character again and again
That was cute.
screaming. That was funny. You say a lot of this stuff was funny, but, like, right when the whole theater was, like, laughing, including me, you were just dead silent and just, like, kinda watching it with your, like,
Well, no, that's
"What?"
something in general. Okay, no. To preface, I don't think I laugh out loud at movies too often in general.
How
Even
do you
movies
enjoy
like that I've like
comedy? How do you
find
enjoy
funny.
comedy then?
No, I do enjoy it. I'm just smiling. Like my just the way that it is expressed is just different. If it's like really, really like the funniest shit I've ever seen, then maybe. But I think in general,
It's
it's
the
just
funniest shit
like
you ever seen, you
my
get a giggle. He
scale
gets a
there is
giggle.
different.
He gets a giggle if it's the funniest stuff he's ever seen. A giggle
I
at
I
most.
don't know. I think in general, maybe we could talk about this in a future episode. But I think in general, for me, comedy in movies is like inherently a little more predictable than it is in like some even like stand up, but especially in like just things that happen in like real life. I think just inherently things that are scripted and trying to follow a quote unquote comedic formula are inevitably gonna be a bit less unpredictable, which I think is what makes things funny in the first place. I still define a lot of things funny in the movie, just not to that same like physically freeing extent, I guess.
Yeah.
There was still stuff I found funny in the movie. That's just not how it was expressed for me.
By the way, I was actually
I
kind of
will say
surprised.
probably the thing I found funniest in that movie. I really liked Benedict Wong's performance. I thought it was really funny and kind of campy, and like the entire movie. Where just the way that he delivered his lines, I thought was really
I
fun.
haven't thought about it actually like that. The more I think about it, yeah, I think the one a funny scene with him is probably when he's meeting the weird witch aunt lady for the first time, and he's just like, yeah, like he's like finally he's the one who like realizes she's a little bit disturbing, and it's like, yeah, I'm gonna have to talk to the guy's parents. It's a
Yeah, the way that he like
requirement. I'm
undermines things and
sorry,
like
but
yeah,
like, and I was like, that was like, I was like. It's like still even that scene was funny. I was like, is he really the first person that's finally finding her suspicious?
that was goofy.
I was just like, once again, that whole that because that's what the setup is built on. That's like it old like what is the setup that was built so well ultimately lead up to? I was like, that's it. But another scene that I actually you claimed you were kind of disturbed by, but like I kind of just thought was run of the mill cool gore was when the witch literally got torn apart by the children. I thought that was a
Yeah, that was
really
freaky.
cool scene, but like I wasn't like disturbed by it. Like I mean, it was cool. It was disturbing in nature, but I've seen a lot more disturbing. And I remember like
Yeah, that's how I describe it. I'd say it was disturbing without me being too like aggressively disturbed by it, but I just thought it was like freaky
yeah, I was
conceptually.
just surprised because like one of the most disturbing movies of the year for me, a movie called Bring Her Back. I've seen some really just was really really disturbing imagery, and then when I think when I brought it up to you, you were just like, "Oh, this is worse," and I was like, "No way."
I'd say I don't know. There was something about how it was. framed that was, I guess it was also just more visceral in how it
No,
was paced
the
in
scenes
this
in Bring Her
movie,
Back are
where,
much worse. You know that, dude.
well, in the sense that I get, no, I would say how in this movie, I think in general, think it's just kind of louder and faster in how things are shot and what it's presenting. Where that movie was a lot more kind of slower in general. I think that's a good summation of these two, like compared to each other, I guess. Where this one in general, I would describe as, I'm not even saying one is a strict positive, but I think this movie was like more. I'm gonna repeat this word when we talk about Scott Pilgrim, but I thought it was more kinetic, while that movie was a bit more
Yeah. It
like
wasn't. Yeah, I
slower. Which again, I
well,
don't think is a strictly bad thing. I like a lot of slow movies, but that's just
it was
what the
slower in
pacing
the
was
end.
for
It
me.
was slower in the end, but no, it was slower
Just
at
how
the
it was
beginning.
framed and shot.
No, I think the reason why I didn't find it as disturbing or not because I was so invested in the comedy. I was like completely gave up on like everything else. I
That's
was just
valid.
laughing my ass off throughout the whole climax. That like when the scene of her being ripped apart like finally happened. Number one, I was kind of happy because like no, the bitch got what she deserved. She was evil, so I was like, okay, yeah, she's getting a tough ending. And then number two, like once again, I was just so wrapped up, like the way the kids were literally chasing her through the
That
streets,
was such
and
a fun
everybody
scene.
was
That was great.
confused. I was just like, everybody in the theater was like bawling like laughing their ass off, including myself. I was just like, no way, and just like once again the repetition of it, like it's like the with the Josh Brolin and the drug addict guy scene, like he just like punches him, knocks him out, and like eventually like wakes up with the same exact voices and runs into him. He's like, "Rah!" And like he punches him in the face again. He just starts hurting, and it's the same thing here with like you just see most from different perspectives the same kids chasing this crazy old lady wanting to like destroy her, and I was just like, my god, that like I couldn't help it. I was laughing my ass
That
off,
was
but
cool.
like
Yeah,
still, actually, I will say
that was an
throughout this
amazing
conversation, I'm
scene.
kind of realizing how much I did enjoy this movie, despite the tonal whiplash.
It was fun.
So yeah, it was fun, but like I don't know, that's still the big like what it ultimately leads up to. I still can't get over like the police were like completely knees deep into this investigation. Did not think that she was suspicious at all. I'm sorry, they brought her to the police station. They didn't think of interrogating her at all, especially with the father incapacitated and the kid scared. I'm stuff like that completely was like the more I think about that, that was like really they're that dumb and like because the thing is most of these characters like they have their flaws and all that stuff but I thought that most of them were at the very, very least competent in their own way. And I was like, "V- they're that dumb? Oh my god, like ugh, like that still nags me. I was like, why are they that dumb?
It's kind of
But
fair.
yeah, like um anything else?
I don't
Do you
think
have
so. That's about my thoughts on it.
I think I have something
I liked
else,
it.
but like it yeah, this movie was I'll say this like okay, so leaving this movie, I was just with my mouth wide open, like not knowing what to say because I was once again total whiplash. I didn't love parts of it, but it took me a couple days to think about it, and I kind of at first didn't like it because I once again didn't like where it ultimately led off to. But at the even at the same time, I was like, okay, even though this wasn't a comedy, even though this wasn't a horror movie, really, it was a comedy and it was fun to watch. And I had a fun time. Oh, by the way, everybody is talking about how this is like the revival of horror right now. I kid you not. This is like literally, this
Okay,
movie got like, yeah, genuinely. Everybody's talking about how this is like a revival of horror because
it's funny.
actually, a movie that recently came out that everybody was talking about together was also a very very good body horror movie that everybody loved, and then plus this movie, everybody's like, oh my god, it's another like new great age of horror. And I haven't watched together. I've heard good things
Mm.
about it, but once again, this movie was like not it's not a horror movie, and like people I trust online are like calling it a great horror movie, and I'm like, it really isn't. So like
I don't know.
that's kind of where
Maybe, well,
interesting
maybe
confusion
that
is.
is a knock against it. If that, because I do think it was definitely going for that, like at least at points, and like I agree. Where I was definitely not scared while watching it. I don't think so. That is probably a bit of a knock. Where I guess it was like tense at points, but I would not say that that was. And I can't. I'm not sure why. It's hard to place why either. Because again, as I said earlier, I think it does build suspense well in some scenes, but I don't know if it is even really trying to super actively capitalize off those with scares. I don't know this scene, but I've also heard a lot of people saying like, "Oh, this movie was scary," and I don't feel it really. So I don't know if
Just
that was
scary, like
a.
one of the best horror movies in a while, and I'm like, it's a fun movie. I don't know if I would say it's. I don't think it's horror. Once again, like everybody's telling me, like it's a great horror movie. I'm like, I really do not see it. Um, yeah, but I will say once again, like I was very, very upset when I saw the very, very ending because I was just like, that's it. It just ends like that at first. But then the way I thought of it, like, how else would the movie end? How else would a movie like this
That was
end?
funny.
Just the way it ended, like some of them even started to be able to speak again, and like it ends on that, and I was just like,
I loved how like matter of fact the narrator was the
yeah,
whole
like I
time. Just how
actually
like I like their tone a lot.
no, but like just hint. It's like just the small hint of like things were starting like things got better question mark. I love the way I like the way I think about it. The more I think about it, like that's actually really really funny and very kind of in its own way disturbing frame to end the movie like that. And I think it actually works the more I think about it. So yeah, I actually do really really like the ending now. But yeah, this movie was I don't know how to just a tonal whiplash, but ultimately a fun time. And I would recommend it, but it is not what you're expecting at all. Literally, like the genre, it is still marketed as a horror movie, and like the genre on like old websites still says horror, so it's lying to you. But it's still a
Yeah, it's
fun movie.
yeah, a little
It's
bit.
still a fun
Yeah, I'll
movie.
definitely yeah.
So
That's a
yeah,
big summation of it where I definitely say there's some fibbing going on. Well,
I
no,
don't
maybe
know.
you know what? Maybe it is scary, and we just are. Maybe we're the stone
We're the
cold
messed up.
freaks
No,
that don't find it. Yeah,
all of our theater was laughing too.
but maybe they were also shaking in their boots, and we're the evil ones that didn't
You,
find it scary.
if that were the case, then I would be happy. I would be really happy. We're too messed. We're just so messed up that we will laugh at like children dying or
Yeah,
whatever. Jesus.
they were
Well,
terrible people.
yeah. Well, while we watch
Yeah,
like I don't
this.
know the more mess. Imagine we're in the theater like the whole theater is packed of like everybody's watching Hereditary for the first time, and we're the only ones
No,
laughing,
no,
and
no!
we're the
Don't say
only
that. Don't
ones
be
laughing
no,
our
don't no, no,
asses
no!
off.
Don't be like those dickheads that I've heard that like clicked in the theater like the whole movie. No,
What?
because
No,
that's the vibe I get when you bring that up with Hereditary.
no, like imagine we're the only ones laughing in the theater where everybody else is like petrified and shocked, and we're just laughing our asses off. That's good to think about,
If that
actually.
was what happened, I mean, I don't know if that many people were laughing at the end sequence. I don't, not sure. I was watching the movie.
I was,
I was, I don't know.
most people were just also the way it was edited. It was like
Okay.
just meant to be funny, like the way
No, it was funny for sure. Yeah,
the sound editing, just like the very sporadic way it went up and down and up and down. I was just like, what the hell
yeah.
am what am I supposed to do if not laugh? So yeah,
No, that's
like
real.
once again, this is a best comedy of the year, even better than Naked Gun or whatever everyone's saying. I don't know.
We've definitely watched Naked Gun, and we're qualified to make this assessment. But yes,
Actually, I haven't. So,
I
but
know that. Yeah, that's yeah. Well, maybe we'll recommend it at some point. I don't know,
good
but
actually, yeah.
yeah,
Um,
rating time. Yeah, I liked this movie. It was a fun time. I'm mixed on it in general, where there's some scenes or parts of it where I thought it was a little more boring when it wasn't leaning into the comedy as much, and I think it probably could have been a bit more experimental at points where that might have made it a little more interesting. And like you said, I do think there were some issues just logically, which thing in every movie. I mind it less when it's a comedy, but it is still like a valid thing to bring up. My rating on I don't know what I'm definitely leaning toward high 7, low 8. I think I'm gonna put it at a 7 for now. But I'm definitely that is subject to change depending because again I'm very fond on it in my memory. I think it was a very fun watch, but I don't know, especially if it was trying to lean into horror more, which I didn't feel watching it. But if that was the intent and
there was
that's
no
the
way that was the
kind of
intent.
emotion, I'm not convinced if
I
that was
can't.
supposed because there were
You're
definitely
telling me
scenes where that's what it was doing.
you're telling me that the overall general movie, that the amount of comedic scenes in that
No, no,
movie.
no, no. I don't mean no, 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 no. I don't mean that was the general tone throughout. I mean there were it was trying to do that. Period. Like it was a horror comedy. Like it was trying to be scary at points, and
I think it
no,
was
for me
trying
it
to
wasn't.
be. Yeah, I can't believe it because like even the creepy the only one that kind of the only one that kind of was pretty creepy in its own sense was the car scene with the cutting of the hair. That was actually pretty cool. It was clever. It was creepy.
Yeah.
Build That was actually kind of a cool scene. But like all the like the build up jump scares with the orange haired woman were like ultimately like though if I
No, they.
reflect on them,
Yeah,
if I watch them now and even if, like they're just funny. So yeah. Um,
I agree.
but for me, yeah, this movie was once again, I was very, very mixed on it when I left the theater. I was like, no way, because I'm like, my mind was just completely expecting a great horror movie, and it got a great comedy. So I was like, very, very, very. My brain was adjusting, but as I kind of thought about it for a while, and after I had this kind of conversation, I kind of realized that yes, it's different. Yes, it's a comedy, but ultimately it's a fun comedy. The jokes are funny. I laughed and the creepy scenes were at the very, very least creepy. And the story was very, very interesting and the setup was very, very interesting as a whole too. So yeah, I was at first leaning on a low 7 because I still did enjoy parts of it, but the like logical gaps were just too big. But I did still enjoy it, so I'm between a 7.5 and an 8. It's like I'm not sure if I want to give it the 8. For now, I'll keep it at a 7.5 because it
Okay.
might go up, but I'm not. But the big illogical gaps are still very, very prominent for me. And I wouldn't be. I'm not a nitpicker, unlike sometimes someone across from me.
I would no. I would say
You
that
nitpick a
this
couple things. You
complaint
in the
is I no
Fantastic
no no
Four
no no.
movie. Oh my God! Don't even start with the
I'd say no.
one
My
out of
complaints with
10.
that movie. No
One
no
out
no no
of
no.
10.
That movie
There is
sucks. Whatever.
no
We had
way.
that's a different
One
episode.
out
That's a
of
different
10.
episode. It's a
Okay,
different episode.
fine,
It's a different
but
episode.
okay, fine. Just like facing the facts here, but like the only reason I'm giving it, I'm still taking like 2 or 2.5 or points away from it is because the illogical gaps in this movie do play a prominent factor in the setup. And once again, the setup was the main thing that got me to the theater and how really, really invested I was in the story. And the fact that they just kind of like say, "Oh yeah, it's that's just it." I was like, "Okay, that's it." Of like a really, really weird solution. It still kind of like nags me, and I'm not sure if I'll ever give it the 8, but who knows? I might give it an 8 eventually. But yeah, I overall, if you want a fun time, I'll recommend this. But if you're very, very genre biased, then I would advise maybe not. But if you want a fun time, this movie's for you. So yeah. Uh,
Brief intermission before the next movie, actually, because you just
yeah.
mentioned something that I find very interesting. Do movies start for you at a 10? Because you just mentioned how like you think how much did I not like about it, like what was wrong with it, and then you would deduct points based on that. Is that how you like think of your ratings?
No, not at all. Actually,
Oh, okay,
I
okay.
said that no, like no, no, that's definitely not the case. I I don't know my ranking. Like our ranking, like I'd say once again, like a below a 5 out of 10 for you is like a fail, and below a 6 out of 10 for me is a fail. So that's how our rankings work. But
I don't even, but I don't think about it past fail. Like, well, this might have to be it. We might go at some point.
I
But
mean, okay,
okay,
so for
interesting.
me, the reason I said like 2.5, like that's for me. I don't think that's the case for me. Like 2.5 points is a lot in my opinion. Like if it's like I like this movie in general, but like if it's that like if usually like if it's a fun movie, if it's a pretty good movie, I give it like in the 8 range. If it's like really good, I give it a 9 and above. And if it's 10 out of 10 perfect, then it's the reason I give 10 out of 10 is like because I genuinely can't find anything wrong with it, and I genuinely enjoy it a lot. Um, but no, I lost a 2.5 out of 10 because 2.5 points because it's just that plot hole is so big for me and it contributes so much to the setup of the movie, which once again I loved, and it just doesn't work with a setup like that. It's like building up. It's like, oh my God, such a creepy story. It's like I'm in bed and listening to such a creepy story, and it's like, and all of a sudden it was this, and I was like, really? That's it?
Okay,
That's how it felt for me. So,
interesting.
like,
I guess maybe
that's
you
the
were
2 out of 10.
weighing it on the premise more, where I wasn't.
It
I was
was
just
weighing
like,
on the premise a lot
what is
more.
it?
Yeah, actually,
Okay,
an
okay.
interesting thing. Maybe we can talk about this a little bit. I had a big debate with you afterwards. Like, while premise isn't everything, if the premise of the movie is a very very big factor in me wanting to see a movie, and apparently it's no
Right, right.
factor for you at all.
Yeah, I don't care. Yeah.
You don't care about the premise at all. You don't care what the movie is like even about.
Barely. I think if
Why?
it's like if the premise is so unique that like there's no way where the movie could be like completely boring, like it feels impossible,
What do you
or
wait? What
if
gets you in
it's
seats?
like
Do you just come into a movie?
again, it's the writer and director. No, it's the writer and director,
What if it's a
100%.
debut?
Absolutely. Then yeah, then it's just word of mouth if it's the debut. There are some movies by like made that are people's directorial debuts where I only saw them because someone else was like, "It's good, trust me," and then I was like, "Okay, I believe you," and
But
then I saw it and it was.
don't you like
But
want to know what it's like? Like, do you want it? Is the reason that you don't like that you try to stay away from that stuff is because you don't want to know anything about it and you want to go in blind? Is that the reason?
that's part of it. But I no, it's mainly that I don't think a movie's premise has that much bearing on its quality. Really, a movie could have like an interesting premise, and it could be like have the worst script known to God,
Oh
like
no, no, I'm talking about for the sake
horribly
of getting you
shot,
in the
terrible
seats, for getting
score.
yeah. I don't care about like ultimately getting you in the seat and getting you to watch
But I
that movie.
do. No, no, yeah, no. I would rather have more of no. What would get me in a seat is if how entertaining I think it would be, or like how fulfilling in a sense, or how interesting. And that is largely based on who wrote it, who's directing it, who is it someone I know makes purposeful, interesting, unique decisions with these things, or not, or is it some studio or person that I think would make a really funny bad movie. Like that kind of thing is what would get me in most of the time. I don't think the concept inherently tells you if that's going to be the case or not, if it's going to be
Like
boring or interesting. I
like
don't.
this, there's a new movie coming out.
Sometimes, but usually not.
There is a new movie coming out that's by directorial that has a directorial debut that's getting a lot of big hype and praise. It's called Him. It's coming out September 19th or something. I really
Right.
really that movie, based on what I watched in the trailer and based on what I heard, is basically the premise of that movie is basically it's like the movie Whiplash, except for the sport football instead of drumming, and it's a horror movie. Now, if you told me that premise alone, I didn't even watch the trailer, I would be pretty damn interested. And the only like credit it has, or the only like name attached that's like famous it has, is as producer Jordan Peele, and like that might get people to seats. But for me, it's the premise alone. That premise is really amazing, and also the trailers. The trailers really really build up that premise and make me interested in what the story is. I don't like I maybe I like trailers more than you because I feel like you have a you don't like trailers a lot because you mentioned it because they may ruin the story for you. But
100%.
like a good trailer
Well, that's part of
gives
it.
you a taste of what this movie is. Not doesn't tell you what the movie is going to be about. That's a bad trailer, but it gives you a taste of what you would experience in this movie. It's like you get like a tiny little like you're being fed a tiny little spoon of a meal, and then it's all of a sudden after you taste it, you decide whether you want to go deeper and and finish up the meal. That's what I love about trailers, and I have a feeling you don't like them. So
No, I think most trailers don't actually do that. I think hypothetically they could serve that purpose, but I think most of them are just trying to have like I think they just dumb down movies to like their most basic attributes a lot of the time, or even kind of strip away what would make some of them enjoyable. Where I think a lot of the time they don't want to show the most interesting things about a movie. They often have like the music or score decisions within trailers are like super obnoxious to me. I really don't like epic remixes of pop songs or stuff like that, which is a lot of trailers. That's kind of the vibe. Or in general, just like the sound effect choices they use are just so obnoxious to me and have absolutely nothing to do with the movie itself a lot of the time. That's just the kind of formula tone that they go for. I think in general, I would describe a lot of trailers as just going for a formula regardless of what the movie is. And I do not think they're a good representation of the tone or kind of artistic edge that the creator might have been going for in the actual movie. I think there are trailers where if you saw like three trailers back to back about completely different movies, you would think they're like the same movie. I think there's a lot of like that's what bad trailers do to movies, and I would say most trailers are bad and do that to movies. That's kind of my issue.
I
And I don't really
disagree.
want my view of a movie to be influenced like that.
I I disagree. I've been kind of honestly like my passion for movies is honestly actually based on some trailers. Because like I always, I don't know, I when I was like younger, I always like watched trailers for movies and being and like was like when I couldn't watch rated R movies. It was when I was younger when I couldn't watch rated R movies. The only thing I really could watch were the trailers, and always getting. And I always like found it interesting, like that metaphor I just said, like a tiny teaspoon of what I would expect from the movie, and it always ended up me wanting more and more. So I'd say maybe and the editing, I would say the editing and the score are always like the best part of the trailers. They always like kind of get me hooked in, and
Wow.
usually, at least nowadays, I don't know. I feel like nowadays trailers are actually pretty good. I haven't seen a. There are probably some bad trailers, no kidding, but like in general, for like the mainstream movies that are popular, I'd say most of the trailers do it. At least most of the official trailers and teaser trailers, I'd say do them justice. Like there's one I'd say my favorite trailer of all time personally is actually a movie we've talked about, Matt Reeves' The Batman. The teaser trailer is, I think, the most perfect trailer I've seen because it gives you just everything you need. It gives you a tiny taste of the world that you'll be experiencing, and it gives you this kind of like this the tone of it too. So I disagree with your. I
No, I
once again
think that movie is the exception. I will say. I think that
no, I'm talking about
from
the
my memory
trailer.
of I've not seen the trailer in a minute. No, I'm saying yeah. No, I think that movie's trailer is the exception. Where I think it's in large part because that movie's just going for more of its own tone and just direction visually anyway. And if
I've
you're
seen a
gonna
lot of
have a
great
trailer for it, then it's
trailers.
inevitably.
Like
I don't think I
the
have. I think
trailer
that
for
movie's like
Weapons
the
was great.
exception.
Okay, I'd say this: the trailer for Weapons was great. It was kind of lying because you know why, but also the trailer for the Dune movies were amazing. The trailer for Oppenheimer was great.
I
The
wouldn't
trailer
know.
for the Thunderbolts movies was also great. Also the trailer for Sinners was a little bit more complicated, but like trailers in general, I like trailers. They ultimately they get people into theaters, and I always like the cool movie theater experience of watching the trailers before the actual movie to kind of see, oh damn, that's coming out, that's coming out, that's gonna be interesting. So I don't know, I like trailers a
I don't
lot.
know. I guess I'm not people.
You're
Because
not yeah,
I
you're
don't know.
not people. Yes, you're not
That's
people.
I'm not
1 out of
people.
10
I'm not.
Fantastic Four. He is not a
That's
person. He is not a
I
person,
no
everybody.
that okay. Wait, maybe we should talk about the movie. Okay. All right.
We already did.
Second
Okay,
movie that
and
we saw was my recommendation. After I saw it a few weeks ago now was like one or two. By that I mean was Scott Pilgrim vs. the World from 2010, directed and co-written by Edgar Wright. This is a action romance comedy. It feels weird describing it like that, but it is. I would say emphasis on the comedy and maybe the action to an extent. Um,
there's a
it
good amount of
is a
romance.
very well, yeah, but I just tonally that's not the vibe I get from it. I guess like I wouldn't want to tell someone that and then be like, oh, it's gonna be a cute romance, but that might be a little misleading. But based on the comic by Brian Lee O'Malley, which also got a show adaptation recently that I'm kind of curious about that I've not seen yet.
I've heard good things.
This I've also heard and seen some good things. I'm curious, but this movie is fun. It is very when I just would describe something as comic booky, this is kind of what I would hope to expect. Like when I say that phrase, this is the vibe I want, where it is tongue in cheek. It is very to bring the word back, kinetic. It is very energetic. It is consistently fun and different in how it's presented and how it's edited makes it feel very unique from most movies, just in its vibe. I thought it was very consistently fun and funny, and it kind of interesting in some ways, and just it was entertaining throughout. I had a very where are you at?
Um, oh,
Oh
yeah,
boy.
one sec. No, no, one sec. So I'll give my background. Have you watched any of any Edgar Wright movies before?
Let me investigate, but I'm not sure. I don't think so. No.
So I have. This one was his old. This one was an older movie of his. But I've watched a lot of his movies. I watched Hot Fuzz. I have watched Baby Driver. I have watched what was it? Last Night in Soho. And also, I'm very very excited for this his new movie. I forgot what it's called, but it's coming out pretty soon, and it looks like a lot of fun. He is he's a really really fun director, and I was actually surprised with like Baby Driver is one of the most like fun movies you can ever watch. Like if you just want to get with a group of people and just like watch a fun movie with a fun time with fun characters and just like doing fun shit, like action and comedy and all that stuff. That movie is like awesome and fun. And also, last night Soho even showed that he could go to to some horror aspects too, like dabble in the horror genre. So I was pretty interested. I kept hearing about Scott Pilgrim versus the World from like a lot of people. Like I've been seeing clips of it online. Like just it's very kind of in your face style, but like intentionally fun. Like it, it reminded me of like live action anime, except a little bit more kind of like
That's a decent
fun,
descriptor.
a little bit more fun. And I really don't like anime, unlike the other guy. I just think the style is like
Oh.
the way the shapes of the faces is just too much for me. So yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah. I said it. Just like
that's so funny.
the eyes. No, like anime is just not for
That's
me.
so that's okay.
Anime is just not for
That's
me.
funny.
The way they draw. The only kind of exceptions maybe
But
like Avatar:
that's
The
not
Last
even
Airbender,
consistent.
which is
That's
not
not
even.
anime.
Well, it's anime
That's funny.
inspired. Like it has anime inspired animation. So
I guess.
that's the only real exception. Technically. But yeah. This movie. It's a lot of fun. I'll say that. I watched it on a plane. I'll say that. I watched it on a plane and I was like jet
Oh
lagged,
joy.
but even when I was jet lagged from a previous flight, it kept me up. Actually, no, I fell asleep halfway through because I was jet lagged. But like no, it for the most part
Oh my
no,
how
no, no, no. For the most part, it kept me up, and I was
wow.
actually no. You want to know the
The
funniest
sanctity
thing?
of this podcast is ruined. How
No, no,
could
no,
you?
no. You want to know the funniest thing is when I fell asleep. It was like it was my door was wide open and like it was white. It was literally right on the shot of. It was literally right on the shot of like two guys kissing, and I saw this like right before I fell asleep. There's this older woman that like looked at me and looked at the shot. She was like really, really freaked out. And I
Oh
was
my
like,
god,
I
that's
don't care.
funny.
I'm just falling asleep. God.
That's epic.
No, but then I woke up
Oh
and I
my
finished the
god.
movie,
Okay.
and yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a very very fun, energetic movie. I don't know what to say. I don't know if I have too much to say about it. Like it feels like a
Well,
fun
yeah, you
video
didn't
game.
see all of
No, no, no,
it.
I did. No, I saw the whole
Okay.
movie. I just paused. I saw the
Okay.
whole movie, but like
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
I paused in the middle. Don't worry. Um, but yeah, it's the acting is a lot of fun. Like I feel like the energy and like the kind of low key
Absolutely.
like laid back energy of some of the actors combined with like some of the like in your face energy of the other actors is also a lot of fun. Like the two main leads, um, like I love the way they act and the way they kind of interact off each other in this like very very chaotic world. Um, but yeah, I don't have like it's a fun movie. I enjoyed myself watching it, and I enjoy a lot of other Edgar Wright movies a little bit more, only because they kind of have more nuance to them. But this one's a lot of fun,
Mm.
so, and yeah, I'm not gonna watch anime for sure ever, but this one was a lot of fun. So yeah,
Okay. Such a funny. I can't. That's
it is
such
a
an
it
interesting
is a funny
comparison.
story actually, but like nah.
No, I'm like, what? Anime doesn't even have the same style all the time. Whatever. That's
Yes, it
a
does.
topic for a
It's in
different
your
episode.
face. It's
But
in your
that's not
face
true. That's
animation, all
literally
that
not
stuff.
true.
Yeah. Oh god.
We'll get whatever.
The
This is a
day you
different
give
thing. But so
the day you
fascinating.
give Fantastic Four a higher score is the day I might watch an anime. Might.
What is this kid? Okay, whatever. But no, I found this movie so fun consistently. I seriously think I would like very largely attribute it to the editing and like cinematography. I thought that this movie was it was consistently moving. It did not stop. Not in like a like hyperactive kind of way, but just where there was never a point where it was doing something boring, I would say. I think it was just so, and even the way the dialogue was paced, I think it was always funny. Like it's even if it wasn't like laugh out loud funny consistent like every second, I thought it was always fun in like every single line, even when it was being more serious. It never kind of dropped that tone. And it was just always, even outside of action, in action, just through dialogue scenes, it always kept stuff fun and different and interesting in its framing. I thought this movie was such a visual treat for me. I thought it was just so unorthodox in what it was doing, and it was just so entertaining. I'll say that I think that the action is shockingly good. I didn't go into it expecting that at all. I thought it would just be kind of like a fun, goofy time. I thought the comedy would be more focus there, maybe the story to an extent, which I do think that this movie is doing a bit more in the story department than kind of, or well, no, I think it's doing about as much as meets the eye. I just think it's kind of interesting and subversive in what it's going for. I thought it would be more surface level there. And in the comedy too, I thought in general it would be more surface level. It kind of was, but I thought that the action choreography was pretty great all the time. I think that although the VFX were kind of at some, I don't know, corny, I guess for sure, and just how they were portrayed visually. I thought they really helped to kind of sell the impact of things, just in how things were presented visually. It was just kind of how over the top it was, and I think that I don't how would I phrase this. I think that an issue a lot of action movies have is just selling the. I guess okay, well, live action things have this issue. I think animation it's less of a problem, kind of inherently to the concept, but in live action, I think it can be tricky to sell the impact of action scenes when in real life things don't always have that much impact. Like I say this as someone as a boxer and as someone who watches a lot of boxing. I don't for me the intrigue there is kind of the strategy of it, like that kind of component. But I don't things impact of hits is not always that it's just that's just not how it works where there isn't that much kind of motion there. It's not like every time someone hits someone it's a goddamn explosion. And like that's how sound works. That's just not how it works. If glove is hitting body then it's like foam hitting like meat. That's not how it happens. But I think this movie, and that's something in live action a lot of the time, where I think sometimes the sound design can be a little normal and it feels like people could be slapping each other sometimes. This isn't every action movie, but it's kind of a common problem to me. I think in this movie, it was so consistently fun and how over the top it was, and it sold the hits of a lot of things. And in general, I just thought that like the kind of martial arts of it was just really compelling and fun. And I did not expect that going in, but that was something that definitely kept me engaged way more than I was expecting for sure. What are you thinking?
Um, yeah, the action was fun. I thought it was I thought it was very, very animated like action, very like
I can't. This is a
yeah.
funny
Once again, well,
comment.
I've nothing. I mean, like it's very, very. What's the word? Jesus, what's the word? I don't think I would say it's like the best action I've seen. Like you're kind of praising it to be. Like I don't.
Okay.
It's fun. It's very unique in its own way, and I like kind of the solutions that the guys came up with. I kind of maybe saw it, maybe not like an actual fight strategy. Saw it maybe like more like a video game. Like literally, how would you video game wise figure it out?
That's part of it for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't. I there are a lot of great action movies that I would think were like strategy is more involved in like a little bit like great shows and great movies, and there's like a certain type of brutal action
Mm,
that I personally always lean more towards. But
okay.
yeah, just action wise it's a lot of fun, and just I do kind of like the levels of it, and I do really like the setup of it. Actually, I watched the trailer right before I watched the movie, and the kind of cool setup
Okay.
was actually once again also similar to Weapons had a really really awesome setup where it's just like this guy gets with this really really cool hot chick, and then all of a sudden like in order to fully claim her he has to defeat all seven of
That's
her
a good way to
exes,
phrase it.
and I just love that. And it was really really fun to watch all of the guy of he has to come up with all these different solutions and all these different problems. I don't fully feel like I tried to make it a bit too complicated with the final boss. Maybe I
Mm.
wasn't following as much, but it was a bit strange. I also really loved the band, especially the drummer. Like I think maybe one of my favorite characters was
That
the
was funny.
drummer,
Yeah.
and her like we are Sex Bob 1 2 3 4, and then like just the way she drummed, and that's always fun. Um, what else do I have to say? Yeah, the editing I will once again yeah, I agree with you. The editing was very, very well edited, very, very well directed in a way that's unique. Once again, this movie is unique. I cannot say I know another movie like this movie at all. It's very different in that way, but there's something I was gonna say. Um Also, just like how it kind of wraps it all up with all the different characters, and how it like creates all these different characters with all these different fun, out there, quirky motivations. Like one of my favorite ones was his ex, the one, at least the one he breaks up with. The main character is the one who breaks up with, and just the way she reacts to everything and the way she just acts, and
Oh, hell yeah.
like once all these characters are different, unique, and quirky in their own way, and especially all the exes are very, very fun. I don't know. I don't have. too much to say about like how complex or like interesting this movie was. It was just a fun time. It was a really really fun time. So yeah, it kept me awake for half of it, and then the other half it also kept me awake. And in between was 2 hours where I was knocked out. So
That's so funny. Okay,
it is funny.
I will say, this movie's cast is crazy, and
Oh
in
yeah,
just
that's a
the
lot of fun.
acting in general was so. I did not know this. I had no idea that this was a thing going into the movie.
You know the main
This
actor?
is a. No, I didn't know this was. I didn't know that Kieran Culkin was in this movie. I didn't know that Chris Evans was in this
Oh,
movie. I
he
didn't
was
know
awesome.
any
Oh
of
my
these
god, I
people were
completely
in this
forgot
movie.
about that guy. He
Chris
was
Evans was so
awesome.
fun. Yeah,
Chris Evans
I love
was
both
no,
of
I
them.
think
I
Kieran
thought they
Culkin
were
might be
super
the
funny.
funniest character in the movie.
Yeah, no, I would say both. I mean, those two are standouts for me, definitely, for like very different reasons. But I thought they were both so they were such fun. This is my favorite Chris Evans
Did you
performance.
actually make a genuine laugh when you watched this movie, or was it just like a I don't know
Oh
smile?
no, I definitely did. Yeah, no, I 100% did. Yeah.
Okay,
No,
good.
this movie was. I thought it was consistently funny. I think it had this movie, not to the same extent, but this movie had kind of the you don't know what this is. I would wager, or at least haven't seen it, but the Xavier Renegade Angel effect, where it's the dialogue is just so chocked full of wordplay and jokes that like you're gonna miss some things on a first viewing, or they just won't have the full effect. But every once in a while, something will just be so delightfully silly that it will just get you. That happened a lot for me, like the entire movie, and I
One of my favorite
definitely
scenes was
do
like
that.
when she kept saying like when he kept saying ex boyfriend, and she's like exes, and I
That
already
was
saw
cute. I like that.
I saw a clip of I already saw a clip of that scene, so I already kind of knew what it was building up to. But just the way, like the bi furious was also really funny too. But
That was
yeah,
such a funny.
that's like yeah, that was funny. Um,
Yeah,
trying to think. Um, yeah, also the main actor, the way the main actor kind of like what's his name? He's a very very famous actor. I keep forgetting his name.
Michael Cera.
Yeah, Michael Cera. Like he's also in Superbad, and I love him in Superbad. And in this movie, he played the perfect like dorky weeb whiny boy, and it was. But his charisma was also a lot of fun, and I was just one of my favorite parts is like how he's this weird dorky weeby whiny boy, and out of nowhere when he has to fight these exes, he's just like, okay, yeah, I can just kick their asses. I was just like, oh, okay, sure, he has superpowers.
That was very
The
fun.
like
Yeah,
the
I like that.
randomness and the how like crazy that just came out of nowhere. That was a lot of
I
fun.
mean, it was
So
video gaming. Yeah, it was.
yeah, it's a
That's
video
like
game. So
I
yeah,
think how I describe like when I think because it's weird for me because again since I don't like that many superheroes and I also think and obviously most video game
boo,
movies are hilarious
boo,
disasters.
boo,
I would say
boo.
that
Anime sucks.
I,
It does suck.
okay okay I'll recommend eventually I'll find a good recommendation
Oh, please, no, please, no, please. Come
to
on.
break it. No, eventually I will find it
No, please,
eventually.
not
But
anime. Don't. Actually,
oh my
no,
god,
don't.
I can't. If you are making me watch the superhero shit, then
What
then I'll.
superhero thing did I recommend?
But
What superhero thing did I recommend?
okay, like
Exactly.
emotionally forcing me,
My
but
point stands. No. You're not doing
whatever.
that to me. You're not doing that to me. Don't.
We'll see. What
I ain't
okay,
recommending
okay.
to you any
But
superhero movies.
I
Stop.
thought that when I think of something being video gamey, this is what I hope that would be, where it has just an energy to it where it gets you kind of involved in the way the video game kind of specific like plot elements or I guess framing like
Wait.
that.
You're telling
I
me that
thought
you didn't like Dragon Ball Z, the movie, the live action movie?
oh Lord, Dragon Ball Evolution. No, I love that movie actually. that's a that's a
I
special
didn't even
movie.
watch. I didn't even know the original, but like that movie is
maybe
just
that
so
should
dumb.
be maybe I should recommend maybe that should be a recommendation. That
I
movie's
already
beautiful.
watched it. It's funny.
No, I that oh my god. Okay, that's its
That
own
movie's so
beautiful
funny.
phenomena. Oh my god. I think I'm the only person that likes Dragon Ball that likes that movie, but it's
That
so
movie's
fucking funny.
just
It's
so
so funny.
funny.
Oh my god,
Oh
it's
my god.
epic.
Oh,
Okay, that's a different thing though. But oh my
Ryan
god.
Reynolds, the
But
Pokemon movie.
oh no, that one can go fuck off in hell. No, that movie sucks. That's it's just boring as shit. I don't know. But
Oh, actually, that's a different topic.
okay,
But yeah.
anyway. But no, it's okay. But no, I really enjoyed everything. I don't know how much more will because you were mentally checked out a little bit against your will part of it. But no, I thought this movie was so fun. I'm very curious about the show at this point. Kind of. I mean, I think it's the same story, but it just seems very different in how it's I mean, it's animated, obviously, but just different in how it's presented. I guess one last thing with this movie is it's more how do I phrase this? The characters are some. You mentioned how they were quirky. They were quirky in different ways than I was expecting. I didn't think they would go as hard with some things here. But I guess there were a lot of very hard like stereotypes in this movie, and I didn't find it like I didn't think it was trying to be like offensive or anything like that. I just thought it was fun and kind of I guess cute or charming, and sometimes just really goofy how they kind of went with some of those characters. Some of them that was like kind of their thing, and it was just I didn't know that that was the kind of vibe it would have, and I just thought it was really goofy and silly and cute, and I liked it. That's how I describe a lot of the movie, I guess. It was
Yeah,
fun. It had such a good energy.
this movie was fun. What can I say? Would
A great
recommend.
time.
Definitely would recommend.
Absolutely.
Um, but I'm trying to think of something else. Yeah, no, I just had a fun time with this movie, and you, yeah. I'm very excited for for Edgar Wright's new movie coming out. I think it's coming out like in October. I keep forgetting the title, but yeah, he's a very very fun director, and I would very much recommend this movie to a lot of other people. And yeah, I think my rating for this movie would be no, uh, I don't know. It's not like I'm not gravitating towards it. Like it's not full. It's not. I'm not. I might rewatch it once or twice, but it's not something I like. It's not my style. Like I love it a lot. 7.5, maybe 8, but
Okay.
I might lean towards it. I might probably eventually move towards an 8 eventually, but like the style is just like it's not exactly completely for me, but I acknowledge why a lot of people like it, and even I like it. So, yeah, that's my rating.
Is for me. I love it. I mean, I guess not. Maybe not. I really enjoyed it. I had such a fun time with this movie. I thought it was so consistently fun more than most things. It delivered on things I didn't expect. Okay, wait, no, real quick. This is another bullshit type trailer where I don't think it matches the editing, the style of the actual movie. I thought it was so much more of like a generic 2010s comedy vibe in the trailer, and that was just not what I got out of it. So, once again, trailers are lying to you. Don't if you want to know what a movie's like, don't watch them. But that's my assessment of that. But no, I enjoyed this movie consistently throughout. I thought it was so fun. It was different. I've not seen something like it. It was quirky. It was cute. It was cool at points. It was neat. It was interesting. I like a lot about it. It is right now sitting at a high 8 for me. I don't know if it would go lower. It could go higher, maybe on a rewatch when a few of the kind of quick kind of jokes and the dialogue set in. Yeah, no, it was a super fun time. I'm more curious about kind of this property now or this series, I guess. It's cool. I like it. I would absolutely recommend it. It was a very fun time.
By the way, just to make this clear, if you ever make one of your recommendations an anime movie, you don't understand the movie I'll subject you to. I will subject you to you think video game movies are bad. I found the
Mm.
worst one. I will subject you to the
Oh,
angry
okay.
I will subject you to the Angry Birds movie. I'm that evil.
I've seen it. That's that. You know what? That might be funny. I'm down for. You know
That
what?
I heard
Now
that
you're
movie
mad.
hurt. That movie
You're
hurt
right,
me. That movie hurt me, man. I
well, then
hate
if
that.
you're recommending it to you out of spite, then it might bite you in the ass more than you expect
No,
it to bite me.
I'll figure out a good movie to. Please don't recommend an anime movie to me, please. That's too
We'll
far.
see. We'll see.
Don't.
It's not
I will.
on the table right now, but it's on the table. It's not on the list right now.
Okay,
But I'll think of
I'll think
something
of the
maybe.
worst superhero movie imaginable, and you don't
That's so
understand.
mean. That's so mean.
Yeah, that's
What if
mean.
you like it?
I
This guy's
don't
a
like
hater.
anime.
He's
It's not
hater
my
supreme.
style. It is not my style. It's something I very
Okay.
much
Okay. Interesting.
intentionally will choose to stay away from for a very long time. Anyway,
That's fascinating.
so um, a recommendation. So recommendations. It was Scott Pilgrim versus the World for me last time. Now it's my turn. I am between two movies from the same director, basically. Um, Christopher Nolan, once my favorite director of all time, and I love almost all of his work. And I'm between I'd say what is debatably considered his best movie, which I really love, and one of his more kind of under the rug movies that is very, very underrated. I'm between those two, and I'll let you choose. Um, I believe so. One movie is Inception, which is maybe has the best world building I've ever seen in a singular contained story in one singular movie. It builds one of the coolest, best worlds, and it's not even trying to like go even bigger than that. It's very, very much in its own contained story, and it's genius. The way it's a heist movie, and it's genius the way that it plays out, and I love that movie with my life. Or you can do The Prestige, which is one of the most unique, interesting movies of all time. Has such an interesting setup, and has one of the best plot twists I've personally seen. Maybe you'll catch on to it faster than I did, but I love that movie. So I guess I'll have you choose.
Interesting. Yeah, these are both movies that have been on the radar a little bit, but I have been unintentionally dodging Chris Nolan like the plague for whatever
Huh?
reason. I said unintentionally. I don't know. It's
Ah,
just none of them have been that high on the list. But this is
what do you
this
think
is
of
the
Christopher
chance
Nolan?
to see one, huh?
Do you not like
I've
him?
like only seen Oppenheimer. No, it's just I just haven't seen that much from him, and I thought Oppenheimer was good.
It
Wasn't
was good.
perfect.
It
It was
was
long.
good.
It was good. It's like
God
my
damn.
thought on it. I haven't been
Deserves
that
7 Oscars.
aggressive trying to say no,
It
especially
deserves
that
seven.
year. No, no,
Oh, come on, it deserved
no,
those
no,
seven
no, no,
Oscars,
no,
dude. You're
no,
telling me
no,
that
no,
it
no,
didn't deserve
no.
Oscar for editing? Come on, the editing was amazing.
In that year, oh, you know what? We'll talk about this in a different episode. Actually, maybe next one we'll talk about this because that year was stacked. But whatever. No, but yeah, out of these two, I guess just to know the buzz more, just to like get the feel for more, I would pick Inception just because that movie's like so talked about that I'm just more curious about it from that alone. I am also curious about The Prestige, but
I will
I'm
say,
interested in
yeah,
Inception for
I
sure.
will say what you said about The Social Network last time. You really, really liked the script a lot, but ultimately, it didn't mean anything too much in the end. I see what you mean
I
by
wouldn't
that.
say that. Well, no, no,
No,
no, no, no. I wouldn't say it didn't mean that much. I just say it's pretty
very
overt
good.
in what it means, which
Yeah,
means I don't have much to think about afterwards. But yeah.
exactly. I think this is the opposite. It has an amazing script, maybe the second best I've ever
Ooh.
read or like seen. Like it's maybe the because it's such a well-contained story, and it. Oh yeah, I think it is maybe the second best thing I've ever like seen that's written, and it's amazing story. And I thought about it for a very,
Interesting.
very long time afterwards. So I think we'll talk more about it in the next one, hopefully. But yeah, that movie's gonna make your brain turn. So it's gonna be fun.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
All right. If he
Hey, so that was the end of that. And we'll see you guys next time.